to push out some aggregated data for K-8 later this week. The SAT and ACT data for the 9-12s non-typical will probably take us anywhere to 5 to 10 working days to pass out any kind of aggregated data for the field to look at. Our goal would be able to bring to you cut score modeling at the September board meeting for hopefully adoption in the October meeting, the November 1st legislative date for the release of the initial A through F letter grades. And that's where we stand right now. But said 3 weeks ago, I was not very positive. But as of today, I'm feeling a little bit more positive that we're still on track. And with the push of our team, we'll be in that position. K-8, 9-12, alternative, and non-typical. All should be ready. And I stand for any questions.
Any questions, members? Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
5C, Director Williams. Not Director Williams. Thank you for being here.
President Arducci, Superintendent Hoffman, members of the board, we have Dr. Heather Cruz from the department to speak on the opening of the infant toddler development guidelines for public comment.
Good morning, President Narducci, Superintendent Hoffman, and members. I'm actually here for our Deputy Associate Superintendent, Lori Masur, who could not be here today.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
I didn't think we were doing this.
Program. We have lots of different models that are built and lots of different ways that families choose to provide care in that space of 0 to 3. So our goal is not to judge of how they do that care, but to provide support, provide healthy growth and development, and also provide development and coordination between comprehensive services and help to utilize the guidance and our framework for those guidelines in that area. Our curriculum and guidelines are appropriate for all children, so I want to make sure that that is aware. Not just typical children, but also our children with developmental delays and also our children with disabilities in that space. So making sure that that is known and that those are built with those guidelines is really important to understand with that full continuum in mind. So you can see that also it is, I don't know why these slides are a little bit wonky. Maybe it's because it's a PDF. Okay, sorry about that. So you can see also that they're built with a full continuum from 0 to 3, also to our early standards for 3 to 5, and also through kindergarten all the way up to age 8, so that we also connect all the way through. You can see the timeline for this development. You can just see this timeline so that when we started with this work, and just an overview of that timeline. Lots and lots of experts and partners available in this work. I want to call out a few experts along the way. We did have Dr. Jill Stam and Dr. Billy Enns from Arizona State, who are considered experts in this space of very early childhood. But we also did have others from universities and colleges, Northland Pioneer College, Rio Salado College, Northern Arizona University, as well as Grand Canyon University, as well as you can see First Things First consultants, Southwest Human Development, Arizona Department of Health Services, and many, many others that I will not mention at this time. But you can see we work with a number of different agencies in this space to coordinate services for all of our children across the state. And just some acknowledgments. You can see lots of work groups, and you can see that these acknowledgments are called out in the document, so you can look and see who exactly worked on that. The document. Want to give acknowledgments to those people. And just an overview, thank you to the ladies to my left who are helping me out. Overview of the layout so you can see what those standards actually look like. And those are attached. You can see what the other standards look like, the old standards, and of course what the new standards look like. And of course, what our goal is to promote accessibility. Again, we are able to look at all learners throughout this space, not just typical learners, but those with developmental delays as well as special needs. And so that's the end of my presentation. This, I do believe, is an action item because we will need you to take action to open this up for public comment and allow people to comment on these standards across the state.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Questions, members? Any discussion points?
I do want to add that these are not new standards. They are an update of the standards. You can see the current standards are attached to your packet.
Well done. Thank you so much. Armando.
President Arducci, Superintendent Hoffman, members, I'm just trying to think of a practical application to this. So if you're a school, district school or charter school, and you don't have a program for these children this age category, how might that be used then?
President Arducci, Superintendent Hoffman, and Member Ruiz. Typically, these are not used by schools because schools do not serve children typically in the 0 to 3 space. Right. This is usually at-home care. It could be private care. It could be a church care. All of those different spaces. Sometimes it's DES care. Sometimes it is. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on some of the others. Head Start. There's lots of, I know Member Broussard's going to jump in here because she's an early childhood specialist.
Can I help?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
I should just.
Yeah.
Like this.
Well, I actually sat on the Pinal Regional Board for First Things First. So there are a lot of services through First Things First that go into the homes of parent, family, caregiver, and it really helps to educate the families out there that need that support and how to interact and help your child hit those major milestones for their cognitive development and emotional development.
President Arducci, Superintendent Hoffman, members, I think it could be this could be really nice, some sort of educational programs, I don't know, working with the media, but also English and Spanish, where parents get a sense, because unfortunately, we don't get kids until they're 5 or 6, and we've just missed out on a lot. And something that would help parents, just give them some basic guidelines, some standards, just things to look for. Maybe you can teach at home. I think it'd be really nice. Yeah.
President Narducci, Superintendent Hoffman, and Member Ruiz, these, of course, are available on our website, but, of course, I will guide you to a number of other websites. They will also be duplicated on there, and there are a number of other resources available for parents, for children in this space as well. First Things First is an excellent website and helps to service children and provide services to providers that service children in this space as well. So that's an excellent website as well.
So I just have one question. How do they find the resource? How do folks know that the resource is out there to get the assistance?
President Narducci, that's an excellent question. We absolutely try to get the word out as much as possible. We work with a number of providers that work through us, number one, through our grant process, as well as through any number of the providers that I have spoken about. Actually, when I leave today, I'm going to the First Things First Early Childhood Summit. So I hope that a number of people have joined us at the Early Childhood Summit that is at the Convention Center over the next 2 days, as well as a number through our state agencies, through DES, through Head Start, through any number of those agencies. They can get access through any of these resources. feel
right,
free
thank
to
you.
jump in, Member Broussard.
I appreciate it. Thank you. With all the discussion and the presentation, do I have a motion to open the infant toddler developmental guidelines for public comment until September 30th, 2019?
So moved.
I have a motion, and I have a second. Any further discussion?
President Arducci, who was that second?
Oh,
I was second.
I was nudging her to go first, you know.
Okay.
We were complaining about the air conditioner being off.
we can do this. It's all right. All right.
You may loosen your tie. I will allow it.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Thank you. See, there we go.
Any other comment? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your support, and your support as well, Member Broussard. Thank you.
We'll move on to item 5D. Director Williams.
Announcement about the air.
Oh, we're making an announcement about the air. Superintendent Hoffman.
I just thought everyone should know that the AC is not working for the entire building, and so in no way is this connected to our budget request. But they are working on it, and I apologize for the room approaching now 80 degrees in here. I'm really sorry.
We'll keep going. And
Well,
we'll make
Mondo,
it
if you
as
can't
fast
handle
as
the
we
heat.
can.
Mind over
No
matter.
breaks. Let's
Mind
Yeah, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. But just remember, don't let the heat get to us. We're still civil in our discussions. Here we go. Yes.
It's not bothering me at all.
Yeah, and how's Turkey there? Yeah. I'm glad it's not Cal.
President Narducci, Superintendent Hoffman, members, item 5D is just open rulemaking, so if there's no questions, then I would suggest moving to a motion.
Any questions regarding item 5D?
No.
Do I have a motion to open rulemaking procedures on R7-2-306 English Language Learner Programs?
So moved.
Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Phone? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Item 5F is for information only. Director Williams.
President Narducci, we should go back to E.
Oh,
5E.
let's do E. Yeah, that's a good one. I just crossed off E. Item 5E. Go ahead.
President Narducci, this is also open rulemaking, so if boards have any questions, they can ask that. If not, I would suggest moving to a motion.
I'll move.
We have a motion, and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Now we'll move to the next one.
President Narducci, Superintendent Hoffman, members, F is an update, so if the board doesn't have any questions on the Article 10 and 11 of school district procurement that the board opened at the June 24th board meeting, then I would suggest moving on to item G.
Were there any questions regarding 5F? None.
No.
Okay. Good comments, by the way, and good edits. Item 5G.
President Narducci, Superintendent Hoffman, members of the board. Item 5G is the presentation, discussion, and possible action to approve the fiscal year 21 State Board of Education budget. This budget is due to the governor's office early September, but I'm going to get it in this week because I'm an A+ student. So in the document that you all have in front of you, it's the same budget request that we do year over year. We receive our budget from the general fund. Due to some conversations that board members have had with me in regard to potentially traveling throughout the state to hold our meetings throughout the state, I did move some money within our in-state budget to increase that, knowing it takes a team to take 11 members of the board and staff to various areas in the state.
The air conditioning's on.
Oh.
I feel it, unless Daniel's blowing out cool air.
There we go.
Positive thinking.
There.
Positive thinking.
I feel something good. And my bald head is feeling it. Something's happening. Good. Okay. Back to the budget.
Back to the
We're paying
budget.
attention, Alicia.
That's fine. So President Narducci, members of the board, it's pretty straightforward. I can answer any questions if any members have them.
Any questions regarding the budget? All right, hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve the State Board of Education's fiscal year 21 budget request as presented?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion?
Just that I appreciate the in-state dollars to have meetings elsewhere and look forward to having everyone in Yuma. We'd love to roll out the red carpet for you.
In December.
There you go.
In December, there you go.
December, maybe February for the Harvest Festival. We'd love to have you there anytime.
Yeah, and just to comment on that, we really feel, the board really feels an important element of the board is to be throughout the state since we are a state board. And meeting in maybe 4 different locations than just here that are not totally, where we have to travel for 20 hours to get there or something, which we wish we could in some parts of the state. But we want to do that because we want to have our meetings where other folks can come besides just Maricopa County. And we know people travel from all different parts of the states for our meetings, so that's why we're going to be doing that this coming year. So with that said, we have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Duncan, Arizona.
Duncan is a good place to go.
Good
Out
place,
by
5 hours.
Yeah.
We're taking suggestions right now.
I love Duncan. All right, we are down at 5H, am I correct?
Yes.
We're at 5H, and we can move into executive session. Do I have a motion to move into executive session to review confidential records pursuant to ARS 38-431-03A2? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Who's so moved? Member Burton. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Cal. We'll move into executive session, Cal, and then we will open up the line for him to call back in? Okay, thank you.
Lunch? An hour?
Yes.
Everyone else has left the call.
Okay, we're back in session. Now we're ready. We're back in session, and do I have a motion to approve ADE and the MSAA state's recommendation for the selected vendor for the MSAA?
So moved.
We have a motion. Who's the motion? Dr. Chang? Member Burton.
Member Burton
Okay,
made
do
the
I have a
motion.
second?
I'll second.
Member Burton seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 It wasn't Member Burton who seconded, it was Member Broussard. And any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we are going to take 15 minutes and have lunch, and then we'll be right back.
Okay.
Thank you.
12:30.
Everyone else has left the call.
Do I need a roll call, or can we just commence?
We're good. We can just.
Okay. We're reconvening at whatever it is, 12:37, and we will. And on the phone we have Member Mack and Member Mack. Okay. All right. We'll commence with item number 6, which is a call to the public. It's time for the public to comment on items on the consent portion of the educator enforcement actions.
President Arducci, no comments were received for this call to the public.
Thank you. Move on to item number 7, which is the consent agenda of enforcement actions. But before I begin, let me just make a comment. I read the book. It was a very thick book. I didn't read it on the computer. Just accolades to jobs well done, and difficult situations, and a lot of factual scenarios that were unique in my mind. And just job well done for all the staff and just specific board staff. Great work to the board staff. Garnett, the assistant attorney generals, Kim and Kathleen, and the investigative unit for the great work. It's awesome. Thank you. Jill.
All right. Yes, thank you, President Narducci. I'd also like to echo those sentiments. That was a huge amount of cases, and I think you're doing a great job with catching up on the backlog and moving forward. So thank you very much.
With that said, we'll move on to the consent agenda, and they'll be taken as a single motion. So do I have a motion to approve items 7A, 1 through 7, 7B, 7C, and 7D, 1 through 3?
So moved.
We have a motion by Member Burton.
Second.
We have a second by Member Corr. Any discussion regarding the consent agenda items? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
Thank you, Member Mack. Any opposed? The ayes have it. We'll move on to call to the public regarding item 8. Director Williams.
President Arducci, members of the board, the one and only call to the public request to speak form we have is from Larry Cohen. He is he's representing Jennifer Bose, which is item 9C.
Okay, great.
Thank you, President Narducci, Superintendent Hoffman, and members of the board. I am counsel for Ms. Boss, and I'm here to speak on. I'm sorry, is this loud enough?
Well, we hear you. It's good.
Speak on agenda item C, case number C2017-243. And I appreciate my time is limited, so I'll be as quick as I can. Jennifer Boss is passionate about teaching. She loves working with young children, and by all accounts is an exceptionally good teacher. I don't think you have anything that says that she does not work, really very, very well with children. She's also a person, though, who is outspoken in her belief in justice. Like so many women in recent years, she has refused to be repressed when she's subjected to what she perceives as abuse, whether it's physical, emotional, or organizational. She questions authority when she believes she's being treated wrongfully or unfairly. And her advocacy about what she believes to be true, that she's been a victim of injustice on several occasions over the past 7.5 years, is what has her before this board, at least in large part. I would say, and it's important to appreciate, that she's done all of her advocacy through lawful and proper methods, including especially urging her position through the courts. There is no evidence she has ever abused these methods, only that she has used them. Taking away her teaching certificate for doing that, about using the legal system to pursue justice, would seem to be contrary to what this board and what our educational system is about more generally. The most prominent of the situations involved here is one that arose for her 7.5 years ago when she, according to the police, resisted arrest. She maintained that she was being physically assaulted, and she feared she was going to be sexually assaulted by a police officer that night. She was convicted of resisting arrest. She filed appeals, and the appeals lost. But that doesn't change the fact that Jennifer Boss, who was alone that night and alone with the officer, is absolutely convinced that she was being physically assaulted, and she's done everything she can to express herself and bring that to light. She's made all of her pursuits in that regard through the legal system, and once again, that's what's supposed to go on in this country. When someone has an issue, they take it up through the legal system, and that's what she's done. Her lawful pursuit of these matters should not be the basis for revoking her license. There is also an issue, and I hesitate to talk about it because it really should be talked about in private session, but she's asked, may I just take a short amount of more time? There's quite a bit here. I will be done very quickly, Mr. President.
Sure, that's okay. We'll give you a minute and a half more.
Thank you. She's asked, you were also asked to revoke her license because of a finding made by a psychologist in 2015 about how she was doing at that time. But I've submitted substantial documentation to show both before and after that her health care providers, not someone hired by the nursing board, but the people treating her, claim that she does not have the issues that were raised there and that she does function well, especially when she's on her medications. There are times she goes off her medication. She's a homeless person, has been for the last several years, and can't always get to her medication. But when she does, she's fine. And if you looked at the video of her testifying in deposition, you would see that. What's most galling, however, about the committee report to you is the misrepresentation about how she filled out her 2015 application. There are specific issues raised in here about not providing information and not going forward. But in the written response that I did to the complaint and extensively during the committee meeting, I demonstrated she answered every one of those questions accurately. The board or the investigators might have wanted more information. They could have asked. She'd always been forthcoming. But if you even looked at the application she filled out, she made notes on it. She submitted an addendum to explain things. She really went out of her way to be accurate and to be complete. And so to say that, and it is here one of the major elements for why she should be revoked, that she didn't fill it out accurately is simply not true. And I respectfully disagree with the committee finding to that extent, and I made that a major part of the argument that I made when we were there. If I had more time, I would go into detail about that and demonstrate that to you, but I don't have that time. Jennifer Boss has always been forthcoming. She's always been a passionate person, and she's passionate about teaching. I appreciate that the board may want to take some action in connection with this case. There are ample means for the board to do things that would certainly protect the public if protecting the public is an issue, but revoking her license for what has been alleged here for a person who has pursued justice and who does have a good physical and mental, emotional health background based upon what doctors said would be a true injustice. And I would urge you to consider other options, whether it's compliance with medications, interacting with mentor, or things like that under a probation order. Thank you very much. And, Mr. President, I do appreciate your extending my time.
Thank you. Is that it? Okay. So now we'll move on to the general session, item 9A. And I'm going to assume, unless you request to discuss any of the items, 9A 1 through 8, I'm going to try to entertain those as a single motion for approval. Is there any discussion regarding that before I ask for the motion? So with respect to items 9A 1 through 8, do I have a motion to approve such items?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Move on to 9B. Sorry, I want to get to my 9B. Okay. First, with respect to item 9B1.
President Arducci, it's just 9B.
Wait a second. 9C. Okay, 9C is the next one. Okay. First, with respect to item number 9B. Do I have a motion to adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law and the recommendation of the PPAC and suspend the teaching certificate of Elizabeth Henriksen for a period of 1 year, and that all states and territories be so notified? Do I have such motion?
Which one was that? 9B.
I move. That's so moved.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? We have a second. Member Burton. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Having none, the ayes have it. Move on to 9C. Sorry, just refreshing myself as to where we are with all the, okay. With respect to 9C, this is in regard to Jennifer Boss. Do I have a motion to adopt the finding of fact, conclusions of law, and the recommendation of the PPAC and revoke the teaching certificates of Jennifer Boss, and that all states and territories be so notified?
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a motion and a second? Do I have any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Move on to 9D. Tina Johnson. Do I have a motion to adopt the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the recommendation of the PPAC and suspend the teaching certificate of Tina Johnson for a period of 1 year, and that all states and territories be so notified?
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a second? I have a second. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. 9E. Chastity Johnston. 9E. We familiar with everything? Do I have a motion to adopt the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the recommendation of the PPAC to revoke the teaching certificates of Chastity Johnston, and that all states and territories be so notified?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. 9F. 9F is Vernica Kirkland. Familiar with the facts in that one? Do I have a motion to adopt the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the recommendation of the PPAC to suspend the teaching certificate of Vernica Kirkland for a period of 2 years, and that all states and territories be so notified?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? 9G. And here we're dealing with Rocky Lovelace. Familiar with the facts, conclusions of law, etc., members? Do I have a motion to adopt the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the recommendation of the PPAC to deny the application for certification of Rocky Lovelace for a period of 5 years and revoke the teaching certificate of Rocky Lovelace, and that all states and territories be so notified? Do I have a motion?
So moved. Yeah.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have double seconds. I'll go with a second from Member K. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. 9H, concerning Nicole Hayes. Members familiar with the facts, conclusions of law, recommendations, etc., regarding Educator Hayes? Any questions? before we ask for a motion? Do I have a motion to adopt the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the recommendation of the PPAC and deny the application for certification of Nicole Hayes for a period of 5 years, and that all states and territories be so notified?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, members. We now move on to summary of current events, future meeting dates, and items for future agendas. Whoa, we have a big book there.
President Arducci, Superintendent Hoffman, members of the board.
Woman versus binder. Score one for the binder.
I'll fix that later. I sent you all an email. We're looking to have West Ed be brought back. Carlos is going to come back and speak on school improvement, some of the themes that you all brought up at your retreat. I believe that's the 6th. Sorry, I'm going off the top of my head. But you all have the email. Just hold that right now on your calendar. I have a phone call with him this week, and we will nail down that date. And then I'll send a calendar invite out for all of you. And Ketcher is nodding his head, all knowing Ketcher, and it is the 6th that I have a hold on my calendar for it. We will hold it in here, so even if you cannot attend in person, then we will have the live stream going so you can at least watch or you can call in. And then that will be archived in the YouTube universe for us to watch for generations to come.
Can I ask a question?
You may.
Yeah. What if the air conditioning is broke?
The air conditioning's back on because Superintendent Hoffman fixed it herself personally.
A lot of pressure.
Do you know roughly how long the meeting will be?
I'm not sure yet. Okay. Once I talk to him this week, I'll have a better understanding. And then I'm really excited. Dr. Kaur stated this in his update to the board. Education Commission of the States is coming and doing a really exciting presentation to the K-3 Literacy Ad Hoc. That is on September 12th at 9:30 in the morning. Member Wellborn is on that committee, and then Superintendent Hoffman is on that committee as well, but Dr. Cruz sits in her spot on that committee. That's on YouTube. You can watch it. I'll send it out in a board staff update. But they have some new data to share, and will be one of the first states that they'll be able to share that information after the embargo. So I think that's pretty exciting. And then other than that, we're working on the logistics of taking the State Board of Education meetings on tour. And we look to bring that to all of you probably at the October meeting when we approve our dates for the next calendar year.
Great. Thank you, Alicia. Any further questions or suggestions? Seeing none, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Have fun. Be safe.